Hey, welcome to the Fabric of Culture podcast, episode 9. This is where I interview different creatives, models, DJs, fashion designers, and just get insights on how they got started and how you can implement that into your life. All right, introduce yourself.
I'm Victoria Malin, a freelance model. And,
So, for you, how did you get started in modeling?
it was actually just for fun. So on Facebook, they have like the different groups. So the one that I joined was Austin Photographer and Models.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I had no idea what I was doing. And so I just kind of was like looking to see if there were other like amateur photographers that were just either like hobbyists or just starting out, like they weren't looking for experienced models.
Yeah.
And so I found one photographer and like I worked with him and like the photo shoot itself was like not what I expected. It was kind of like really hectic and crazy.
Wait, why was it hectic and crazy?
Because like there was another model that he invited, which he didn't tell me about. And then like where his studio was and like all this, I was just like, is this how it normally is? But I enjoyed the process of like planning out looks.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna like look past this and just enjoy the experience. And like I posted some photos from that shoot, and then it was kind of just like word of mouth from there. And one of my high school friends was actually like shooting full time at that point, and so he was like, hey, why don't you model for me? And I'm like, I'm not professional, like this is all just fun. He was like, no, we can do it for fun, like, you know, blah blah blah. And so then I shared some of his work, and then it just kind of like went from there. So it was literally just boom, 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 boom. And then I was like, oh, is this a thing?
Oh, so it's like stacked really quickly or less?
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, I mean, because he already had a network too. And so then I branched out to Waco, and there was like one photographer that I worked with for like a couple years, and like his connects hit me up, and so it was just like a really easy networking thing to kind of.
Okay. So is there a particular style you like? Or your go-to? And I forgot to say it before, but just you can pull it towards you or just get closer.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like super soft spoken, so I probably need to like beat up on this. So as contradictory as it is, I actually feel more comfortable when I'm in lingerie or nude, like just my own skin.
Yeah.
Sometimes like when I'm wearing fashion wear, it feels like I'm a kid in adult's clothing, to put it the best way.
Oh.
If that makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
that makes sense.
I just like, I feel
Why
like
is
really
that?
Weird. I think maybe I'm gonna be honest, I haven't really thought of that too much.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, it's just interesting. I think like as I got into fitness and all of that, and growing confidence in my own body and like seeing like, because working out, you know, you're paying attention to like which muscles are contracting and you're targeting different areas, and that actually really benefits in posing, because then you're like, oh, I know that I'm flexing this or I'm not flexing this, or like, you know, I can create a curve if I like turn this way. And so
you can feel it actually like moving.
Exactly.
Out. Like, okay, that's what I wanted.
I'm like, oh, when I work out back, I do it like this. So like, you know, those kind of things. And so I think like being nude, like I know my body, and when I'm wearing clothing, I'm like, is this like, is this boxy on me? Like, do I look okay? I don't know.
Interesting enough, I feel the opposite, because I think most of mine were paired shoots too. So it was a little more like, I don't know this person that well. So it's like we're on top of each other. It's like what do I do? Like where do I put my hands like without being weird? So
exactly. Like, how do you flow together?
Yeah, exactly.
You're like asking permission the whole time. Like, can I touch your shoulder? Can I touch your face? Can I touch your hair?
Is that okay? Is that okay?
This is okay. Yeah. It's like really intimidating.
But for like fashion, I feel, I don't know, it's easier to be bold because it doesn't feel like it's me. It's almost like a character where it's like these clothes are like something I wouldn't usually wear. It's what the either photographer wanted or what their idea or what the idea I had in mind.
I get that. So I don't know, having that like focal point helps a lot too.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, okay, let me like snap or like turn a switch on, and then I'm like in that mindset.
And then it clicks.
Yeah.
So for someone who's just starting out, like what would you recommend for them if they want to get into modeling?
I would say build up as much experience as you can. So TFP, so like trade for photos, you should try to collaborate as much as you can. Try to collaborate with people that you actually like their work and you would want to share that. But one thing, I actually had a conversation with another model about this. If you're going to get into like implied nudity or nudity, I think you should always charge.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, even if you're just starting out, because it's like, that's your body.
Yeah.
That's very
that makes sense.
And if you're just building your portfolio, I mean, depending on what you're wanting to get into, you probably don't really need that right away, but it also depends like where you
become more experienced like with modeling in general before you hop into that.
Exactly. Like when I started out, I was just doing like lifestyle portrait, a little bit of branding work, but it was like very light. I think the most that I ever did was bikini, and I never saw myself being a nude model. Obviously there's no like shade to that because I do it now, but but I didn't jump into that. That wasn't something that I even thought about. Like even lingerie to me was like, oh my god, like could I really do this? Like
it's not something you expected, but then you just gradually became more comfortable. And you're like, this is my thing.
Yeah, and that helped a lot. Just starting out with like, okay, what does posing look like for fashion? What does it look like when you're shooting for a specific brand? So like I did a few jewelry brands. So obviously like I'm just kind of wearing it. It's more so like the focus is on the jewelry and I'm just like the backdrop hosting it. So it's like, oh, let me move my hand this way or like my arm this way or like the earrings need to be shown. So like I'm gonna flip my hair a certain way and like those certain things.
Actually, I'm gonna go into that then. For each one, like what would you say the differences are posing wise? So like for just modeling like in general, fashion wise, jewelry, and then like implied nudity and stuff like that.
Let's see. So like with fashion and all of that, especially if it's for a brand, you want to show off their logo.
Yeah.
You want to show off, obviously how it looks on you, but you're more so like a mannequin at that point because it's like, hey, like when you're advertising, right? People are going to look at that and be like, oh, the clothes are going to look like that on me.
Yeah, you're a glorified mannequin. It's
exactly.
Like, I have to be confident. Hey, this is.
Yeah, I'm a living mannequin right now. Basically. And so depending on the design and all that, you want to show off all of the details of that, anything from like, is there a bow here? Is there a cut here? Is there a zipper right here? How could we utilize this pocket? Things like that, especially like girls, like, pockets in their dresses. And so like, that would be something to show off too, and things like that. And you want to get every single angle so that people can know exactly what they're getting, especially if there's intricate designs. What if there's something like in the back pocket or, so it's just things to think of like that. So like you're kind of like twirling around, showing everything off. Whereas if you're doing jewelry, it's a little simpler because that's usually like headshots, but unless they're including your face, like the facial the facial expression doesn't really matter that much. So like some of the ones that I did, it was like zoomed in on the necklace or it was like zoomed in on my hand or like, just like real delicate positioning, keep your hands soft. If I was showing off jewelry, same thing, like they probably wouldn't get my full face, but it would just be cropped to show the earring. As far as implied, I mean, you're nude, but you're nothing showing, so it's like, are you doing a hand bra? Are you, using your arms to cover your breast? Are you using a hand to cover down there? Side profile is really easy to hide that kind of stuff. So that's things to consider and play around with, and obviously there's different ways to move your arms to fully cover everything.
Yeah.
And then nude, I mean, it depends on how much you want to show, but I think that the main thing for nudity is it's very easy to cross a line between like classy and raunchy, I would say. Just because, I mean, like there's some.
How do you keep that line where it's like still elegant or mysterious or whatever you want it to be mood wise while still not being like raunchy?
I think it helps to have inspo, but also to kind of have like a flow and a relationship with the photographer. So like one of the photographers that I work with in Austin, his Instagram is Strobeworks. And like we always have like inspo that we work off of, and we just have like a good flow and communication when we're shooting. And he always shows me what we get. So like there's something that's like, I'm like, ooh, okay, that might be like,
much.
Like, because I mean, you can shoot, I don't know how explicit this is, but like, you can shoot like straight up, right? And it's just like, straight vagina, and like you could still make that look artful. So it's like, how is it done? What's the lighting? And those kind of things. And then also when I work with him, we're working with different like poses and I'm twisting certain ways. And like at one point he like had this like water that he was spraying and like it looked really cool in the background. You could see all the droplets falling.
Is the inspiration you're like looking at, is it posing focus or is it like mood focus or like a certain style? That's the style we're going for.
It's mainly like a style. Okay. So it could be anything. Like it's not, outfit or like pose specific, but it's
Yeah.
more so like, hey, this is the area that we want to work in.
Okay.
And then we'll shoot, and then basically at the end it's like, hey, if something's like crossed the line or it's too much or you don't feel comfortable, then like we don't have to use that. And I think that's kind of like the best way to go about that.
Okay.
As long as you have that trusting relationship, it's a lot easier.
For someone you don't have that trust yet, how do you, one, like make sure that they're like good? So say for a normal shoot or just like a new shoot, would you work with them first and then do like implied or like things like that, or how would you filter basically?
It depends. I mean, usually I kind of like research through their Instagram or I don't know if you know what Model Mayhem is, but it's basically like photographer and model portfolios that you can go through. So I'll go through either of those. Usually I have a model as a reference. So like I see their work and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, and I always like to provide my own inspo as well. Like, hey, I saw you shot this, or like, hey, I want to do this look, or like, hey, or ask them, what do you have in mind? So that I can know what the parameters are and I can be like, yay, nay, yes or no. And then I know that during the shoot, I can always just be like, hey, actually, I'm not okay with that. Or like, hey,
this is what we talked about before. This is what I feel comfortable with.
Yeah, because there's been some times where like a photographer will get an idea and they may think that it'll look great. But in my mindset, I'm like, hey, like, maybe you can find another model for that. I'm just not.
That's not for me.
That's not for me.
Yeah.
And just find a way to like professionally communicate that without like insulting their artistic view, because obviously it's very subjective. And that's been like something that I've had to learn as well, of just like, hey, say no, but like find a way to kind of be like.
How would you professionally like assert your boundaries basically? Or does it depend on the situation where it's like this one's like a clear like no. And this one's a clear like sugarcoating it, I guess?
Yeah, I usually always try to be nice. So I'll just usually say something along the lines of just like, hey, I don't think this is gonna like fit my portfolio, or like this isn't something that I want in my portfolio. I think that would be great, maybe just with a different model. And then I'm not disrespecting them, and like I'm still showing that like, hey, there's not really any leeway here.
That makes sense. So it's basically finding different ways to respectfully assert your boundaries.
Yeah.
So what's a typical day like for you?
Well, I work part-time at the gym. So my morning from like 5 to 9 a.m. I'm spending there. The rest of the day I'm doing like marketing. So my friends like to joke with me and be like, dude, do your own marketing team, because I run like 6 different social medias. So I'm on Reddit, I'm on Tumblr, I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, this one called Blue Sky.
What's Blue Sky?
It's kind of like supposed to be a replacement for Twitter. I don't know if it's going to be successful or not. But
is it decent right now, or is it?
It depends. I didn't really jump on at the start, but I've seen people who started from day one, and like their following's pretty good on there. So I'm just kind of posting and like seeing, you know.
I might try it out because like I've jumped on like Twitter and Threads, but I don't.
Oh yeah, Threads.
Yeah, it died so quick.
It did.
But I don't get either one. Like I'm just not a written form person, so it's like
it's hard. Yeah. I mainly just share like more personal photos of myself on Twitter. For Blue Sky, I still share mainly professional shots. I can send you an invite link as well. So just remind me like after this.
All right.
But with that, I mean, you can either do like personal or professional. I just figured I would keep it modeling oriented.
Marketing wise, which ones do you think have benefited you the most?
Honestly, I guess it depends on like what side. I think Reddit's been really cool, surprisingly, just because it's like a different market on there. But obviously, it's a different brand of people. Twitter's helped a lot. Obviously, Instagram, Facebook, I feel like has died out for me quite a bit, but the groups still help as long as I'm promoting myself in there. So whether it's like Austin, Dallas, or just photography modeling groups in general, like I get a lot of traffic there.
So just saying like, hey, like I'm gonna be in this area,
or even just sharing my work.
Okay.
So the more that you get your face out there, the better. So
I feel some of those, I don't know, Instagram, YouTube, like Reddit, I kind of get, but with Reddit, I feel like I don't want to spam, and that's why I was curious about that.
No, I spam. You're not supposed to though, but I definitely spam. Or like spam my posts, but there are like some spam accounts. I feel like for the most part I've avoided that. But yeah, some of the groups that I post in on there are like very particular. Like they're like only post in our subreddit, nowhere else. And I'm like,
wait, why is that?
I guess because they want to avoid like spam bots and like people sharing content that's not theirs. So they kind of just want to like do with all that. Plus, it does look spammy. It's like, is this account real? Like they post like 10 subreddits today. Like what? Yeah.
So I want to go back. What was the post that you talked about earlier that blew up? Like, what was the thing where like it just clicked, or maybe one or two where people truly saw like, okay, this is.
I'm trying to think. I think it was more so Facebook. I actually kind of hate the photo. So when I first started like modeling, I had braces, and so I hated smiling, but I have like really small lips, so like my lips are always like like poofed out. But actually there was one that I thought was kind of cute. I was like wearing a crop top, high-waisted shorts. We were like golden hour kind of, but the way that he lit it, it's like I was fully lit up, but the tree and like the backdrop was a little bit darker, and then you could just see like the skyline in the back.
Oh, nice.
Now I look at it and I'm like, and I had extensions, but like I didn't know how to blend them, so they looked like crap.
So it's like really obvious. Well, if you know what they look like. Okay.
I mean, maybe it wasn't too obvious, but I see that photo and I'm like, Victoria, what? Like, how did you even get work from this? But yeah, I would say that was definitely one of them. I'm trying to think of another. When I started working in Waco a lot, that helped me. Just because like we would walk around. There was like the Waco Square or whatever. It's like really pretty, but more like historic. So there were a few of like fashion shoots of me like walking down the street, and like there were like cool little buildings behind me and stuff. I would say that also helped a lot. And then people were more like, oh, like are you doing like fashion work? Like what are you doing? And like just seeing me like being more active and shooting all the time, that kind of
so it made them curious. So like, they wanted to find out more about you.
Exactly. And then being like, oh wait, do you actually do this full time? Like are you getting into this? It's not like, one-off kind of thing. So
what do you enjoy most about modeling?
I like the creativity. Oh no, okay, wait. Creativity, and then I would say connections. I've met a lot of really cool people and a lot of solid friends. I mean, I feel like majority of my friends are photographers, just because it's so fun. Like, there's a few friends that I have in Austin that, like, I'll call them, and I'm like, guys, I have an idea. Like, let's do this, and I just, like, spam them, and they're like, okay, cool, let me know a date. And I'm like, all right, yes, and it's just, like, ADHD brain. It's just, I have to, like, verbally vomit at people what's going on in my brain.
So let me tell you a whole paragraph about them.
No, for real. I have bullet points and everything. I'm like, okay, at this time, and then I can wear this, or we could also transition with this. Okay, wait, I've saved it on Pinterest. I'll show you the outfits that I'm thinking of. And, like, I just, like, have a whole, like, notes app.
That's way better than I should start doing that. I don't do bullet points. Mine's like, it's like a vague idea, and they're like, okay, we'll work with that. And then it's like, can you be more specific? It's like, I'm trying.
It's in my brain.
I know what I'm picturing, but I can't see it.
I wish I could like project it out of my brain.
Yes,
sometimes.
so you can clear it up.
Yeah, because I'm like, okay, it's like this, but like it's not like this. And they're like, what do we do with that?
So how do you come up with like your ideas, your inspiration?
I always like to think of it as like crackhead energy. So like sometimes I go through like these, for real.
I understand.
These ruts where I'm like, I have no ideas. I feel like it's like a dry well, and I'm like, come on, like give me something. And then like for weeks on end, I'll like have dreams. I'll hear a song, and then I'll see like this whole visual, and I'm like, yeah, that's the one. And so my notes app looks insane. It makes no sense. If you went through it, you'd be like, why did she write down like white flowers, golden sunset, or gold sun, like like it has like all these random like little spurts of things, and then they end up coming into something. But I would say that's usually my my flow. It's not really a flow.
But it's something. It works. It works for you. I think mine recently has been like songs for sure.
It helps so much.
Because I was talking with it was a previous episode of my photographer friends, and I was telling her about one of my ideas. It's gonna be good. Come on, trust me.
What song was it, if you don't mind?
Oh my gosh, what song was it? I think it's I Don't Know. I forgot the rapper's name. But it's basically like him. He's like debating between like confidence and like inconfidence. So it's like complete swagger. He's like I feel like I'm the man. It's like, I guess I'm the man. Like, it's like I guess I'm okay. And then he just like keeps on like talking more confidently throughout the song.
Okay.
So it's like self-doubt, like, yeah, I am the man.
I like that.
But it's melodic, basically, but it's so smooth. It's okay. This is that inner debate, like the inner mindset where you're tossing back and forth.
That we all know.
Yeah.
That's funny.
This song, it hits me.
Right? You're like, I feel this in my soul.
Yes, exactly.
I was thinking about that on the drive over here. I was like, okay, I gotta like hype myself up. I gotta give myself a pep talk. Like, you're the one, you got this. Like, you're a badass. Like, you know.
For you, I think, like, what other modeling things would you want to do, or what things have you not tried that you want to push yourself to do?
So I have a few future plans potentially. I don't really like to talk about it because I feel like I get like too excited and then I'm like.
Do you not do it, or is it just that?
Maybe, yeah. Like it's like the feeling of being like, I'm gonna do this big thing, and then you tell the world, and then you're like, you know what, that feeling was enough.
Yeah, I accomplished it already. I didn't do it, but
I won't say the specifics, but fashion weeks. I recently was enlightened that they're a little bit more open with different body types. So like I have tattoos and like I have piercings and stuff, and at one point, someone had told me I might be a little too muscular to do runway. So I kind of just denied myself. I was
so
like,
you didn't even try because you assumed. Okay, yeah.
Like same with agency, I was like, oh no, this ain't gonna work. And of course, like I believe what you think, you curate in your life.
Yeah.
So recently I've had some friends that were like, dude, no, try it. Like at least try it, you know, and like it's a great networking experience, like doing casting calls and all of that. And so that's kind of like the direction I'm going to take in the new year. So I'm super excited.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's going to be fun.
Because I think, a lot of people assume that like you read whatever's on the page and then you don't even shoot it. But sometimes, like, no, like, that's exactly something new I wanted. Yeah. You don't really know what they're searching for. And they have a standard, but then someone might catch their eye who's something they were already looking for, or they're like, oh, I didn't want that, but now I do. Like,
right? Yeah.
So, okay, this is.
Or like, hey, you may not fit this, but you'll work for like a future project.
Yes, exactly.
So it's like the more you get your face out there, the better. So I've definitely been learning that a lot.
So, what are some of the biggest challenges you face as a model?
As weird as it is, I think confidence sometimes. I can be a little too hard on myself, and then sometimes I feel like imposter syndrome, like I'm being a fraud. You know. Like for a long time, like I didn't charge for photo shoots and stuff. It wasn't that I didn't think I was good enough. I just like I didn't have that confidence, and I didn't have the. What
changed? Were you like, okay, this now it's time like to charge?
I kind of had some like professional friends that were like, "What are you doing?" But also like I wanted to start doing it full time, and obviously like if I don't charge, it can't be a full time thing. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I need to switch something here. So those two things were kind of my main motivation, but I would say that's a struggle. It's been a struggle like putting my rates out there and charging people. Yeah. And so I just have been like being my own like pep talker over here. Like, come on, girl, get that bag. Like you work hard. Like and I've been modeling for like 7 years, going on 8.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I didn't start charging until like maybe a year and a half ago. And a lot of my friends were just like, what? We thought you were always getting paid for this. And I'm like, no. Granted, I always had really good photos. I always had really good photographers that I worked with. And I'm like truly lucky with the opportunities that I got. But like a lot of that, no, I didn't charge. So I would say also maybe time management a little bit. So like I am kind of my own like marketing team in a way. So like all of these social medias that I listed off, like I'm having to like draft posts on there and like interact with DMs, keep up with my email, keep up with scheduling. I'm on Model Mayhem now, and so that's been like a whole monster. I like answer 5 DMs, and then there's like 5 more, and I'm like,
it never ends.
This is so great, but like, holy fuck, and I have like ADHD, so like I hit that wall, and I'm like, oh, I'm dead. I overdid it.
I'm always curious. Are you medicated?
I do take Adderall.
Yeah.
That helps a lot. But when I'm not, then I feel it. But
I asked that because one of my friends, she was telling me that like I've been living my whole life like raw.
Yeah, that's how I was. I was like, why am I so weird?
Yeah.
I was like, why am I so weird? And then it made sense.
So how do you? When were you medicated?
A few months ago, actually.
Oh, okay. Okay, so really recent.
So yeah, and a lot of because I was spacing on things.
Yeah.
So like my calendar is my savior
Yeah.
in life because if it's not on my calendar, I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm free for the day.
I just started using mine like the last 3-4 months.
Yeah. No, I've been using it. I don't know, maybe like the past 2 years, and it's helped me a lot. Even for personal stuff, like especially personal stuff, because like I'm like fitting in friend time and like seeing my family, and I don't want to like overbook myself with anything. So that's helped me a lot. But I was actually spacing on DMs, so there were like a few DMs that I opened and never responded to, and they were about photo shoots. Like one of them, the photographer was like, "Okay, here's my dates. Let me know your sizes so that I can buy some outfits for the shoot." Somehow I opened the message and I liked the part about her wanting to know my size, and I never responded. And I swear to you, I don't remember opening that message.
Oh god.
I don't remember seeing it at all. I like apologized profusely and was just like, oh, is this an ADHD thing? And I think it was just like I thought I responded in my mind.
But you didn't.
And then I like skipped over it. And yeah.
So it's like it's basically the save for later tab where it's, oh yeah, like I did it, and then
we'll get to it. In there, I'll get to it. Yeah, and then I just didn't. And I was like, okay, might want to look into this.
So I'm really curious. What's the biggest difference you noticed for you modeling wise, and just life in general, like pre-medication, like post?
I'm a lot more focused. So I'm like a huge multitasker.
Yeah.
And so when I wasn't medicated, I was doing like 20 things at once. And like, so I would leave tabs open in my phone and I'd be like, okay, I need to post on Twitter. What set am I going to post? Then I go on my camera app and then I see something else and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about that photo. I need to message this photographer and see if they finished this set. So then I like go to my email or Instagram and then I see my friend posted something really pretty and I'm like, I need to go comment on this real quick. Wait, why did I get on Instagram? Well, let me look at my DMs. Oh my gosh, I didn't respond to this person. And then it was just like, that was my brain.
It's like never flowing. Like, this thing.
Then I would go back on Twitter like later in the afternoon and be like, why is my post like, draft up or whatever? Like, what was I going to do? It was just not good. So now it's like, okay, I can like hyper focus on certain things, but I know that there's like a time limit for that. So one thing that I've been trying to work on is like personal stuff has to wait, and that's hard when I'm working off of my phone and my MacBook majority of the time because I still get those notifications. And so that's been something that I'm slowly working on, but hyper focusing has helped me a lot. Like I can draft things, get them done, and even if I'm working on like 2 things at once, I can like do similar tasks and like put pieces
so
together.
They'll line up. So these 2 things are similar, so I can do them both.
Yeah, so like if I'm drafting posts for like for Twitter and then I'm doing it on Instagram as well, then I'm just flipping between 2 different platforms and then I can just use the same photo.
How far do you draft ahead?
I have like 20 drafts sitting in my Instagram right now. But what's funny is like the past few posts that I've done, I like did them as I was sitting there. I didn't use my drafts. So I'm like, why did I do that? But I think I just get in my head and I'm like, nah, this isn't good enough for today. This isn't a Friday post. This is like a Monday. So it's like things like that. Twitter, I think I have 20 set up right now. But I usually try to do like a week or 2 in advance if possible. Unless there's like a set that just gets edited and I have that like,
ooh, I need to add this into
this is so fun. I'm gonna post it today. Yeah. So
when you're looking at those, like what images like catch your eye when you see like the finished work? Okay, this is it.
So I really like my highlighter. So if like my highlighter is popping and like my contour and all that, I'm like, ooh, that's spicy. I'm like, I like that one. But with the bodyscapes and stuff, that's been like my jam lately. And I feel like it's just fun to see like how I can twist my own body. And then also getting those edits back, I'm like, that's me? That's crazy. Like I still see photos of myself where I'm like, that's me. Like, that's hot.
Killed it.
Oh, like you killed it, man. I'm going back. But yeah. So
what was it? Oh my gosh. I had it. Oh, okay. So how do you like what are your like things you do to stay fit or keep like model ready, basically?
I always tell people I live in the gym
Mm-hmm.
because I love it. It's not as big in my lifestyle as it used to be. But I implement more cardio now.
Yeah.
Even if it's just steady state. So usually like 30 minutes to warm up for the exercise. And then I do a lot of weight training.
Oh dang, you warm up for 30 minutes?
Yeah. So I either do my cardio in the beginning, so I'll do like 30 minutes, or I'll do it at the end.
Okay.
It's at least like one time during the session.
So you're almost like you're walking 30 minutes or running for 30 minutes, or?
Not running. So usually it's like I love to do like high incline.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll like warm myself up for like 5 minutes, get my legs all juiced up, and then I'll kick up the speed and then slowly like kick up the incline.
Okay.
And then I'll do that for 30 minutes. And then I actually started implementing yoga. So I do that once a week. And it's hot yoga, so I'm like sweating my ass off, like sliding around this mat like crazy. But I noticed it helps me with weight training. It helps me with my flexibility. Mm-hmm. So like my hip flexors are usually really tight. My back is usually pretty bad, which I think is just like an adult thing. I feel like you become an adult and your back is like, yo, fuck you. So that's a thing. But it's helped me a lot because like I wasn't very big into stretching. Yeah. So like even sometimes before my workouts, like I forget. And you feel that later. Mm-hmm. So yoga gives me that chance to like really feel it and be like, oh yeah, that's what you did to your body.
I think the last few months I've been pretty good about like mobility before and after. But before that I was trash at it.
Right.
I'm like, I lifted, that's good enough.
Right.
I ran, that's all I need to do.
You go lay down and your body's like stiff. And you're like, oh.
Why do I feel so tight?
Right. You're like trying to bend over for something, your back's like, no, not happening.
And my kryptonite, go into nutrition.
Oh, nutrition.
Yeah.
I hate giving tips about this because like I'm gonna be honest, like
it's like it's not a one size fits all. It's a
no, and then like if I'm being honest, like I did have like an eating disorder for a little bit. So like food and all that has been an interesting battle. I think it was like hard for me to admit because like I was going to the gym and everything, right? So I was like, oh, there's no way like this is possible. But when you throw in modeling and like standards and you feel like as a model, right, I'm getting photographed all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's like any difference in my body, that is like documented. And I see that, you know, like I scroll down my feed and I'm like, oh wow, like I see the difference from like 6 months ago to now. Mm-hmm. And it feels like, at least for me, I'm only going to speak on myself. I don't know about anyone else, but like, at least for me, that creates this like irrational standard in my mind that I'm like, I need to get better and better and better. But reminding myself that being better doesn't necessarily mean like getting thinner. Mm-hmm. You know, it doesn't have to be that standard. And it's like creating the standard for myself. So like, I'm a big protein girly. So like, I love protein bars. I love protein shakes. And that's like my go-to, especially taking Adderall. Like my appetite's been like kind of non-existent. So like I try to eat before I take it. And then I'll do like protein shakes or like protein bars, and I can usually do that pretty well. And then I notice like at night, that's when like my hunger hits. And so then I have like my big meal. So my like appetite and diet is probably very weird compared to normal people. But I'm making sure I'm getting enough in, and like I'm a huge like portions person, and like I love meal prepping. So like typically I'll do like beef stir fry meat, veggies, or like chicken, or a little bit of rice.
So do you meal prep like once a week or twice a week?
Usually once. I try to do it on Sunday nights. Mm-hmm. So it's like my little cool down me time. But yeah, and then I also try to like implement like my rice and my carbs on my leg days because I'm like, I want to like beef those up. You know, give myself that energy for the work that I'm doing. So I would say that's kind of my balance.
There's something I really want to ask with more importantly, is leg day your favorite day, or what's your favorite day?
Okay. So I started implementing chest into my work, like chest workouts. Yeah. And so I'll have a chest day. And I don't know why, but it is so fun to work out chest without a bra. Like, I don't know why. I'm just like, I love this. Like, I guess maybe because I can like feel it and I don't feel restricted. Because like sports bras, you know, they're like to cup you in, and like I don't have much to cup. But like without a bra, like I don't know, just having that mobility and just
you almost like feel the pump of that.
Yeah, there's like freedom, you know, like.
I think my favorite is shoulder day.
Shoulder?
Oh, I love shoulder so much.
Wait, why?
I love how it feels too.
Oh, okay.
Like one, like it feels nice, like the stretch for like overhead press and for lat raise. Like I like the way it feels, but also like the way it looks.
I kind of feel like I'm flying.
Yeah, so it's like half the pump and half vanity.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, okay, like I love the way that looks.
Do you like watch yourself in the mirror?
Yeah,
like with your strides.
Yeah, when I do the lat.
You're like, yeah.
And then the other thing I was gonna ask you was about how do you change your goals? So basically, if you're not trying to get leaner, like what would the goal be? Like I'm gonna be stronger, like I'm gonna be more flexible, or like my core is gonna be.
Right now it's like maintaining. I would say, cause so like I started Adderall recently, so like trying to figure out how that was gonna impact me. I've been like kind of working with my workouts with that too.
Yeah.
And then usually I'll work out after I take it, so like I have that like hyper focus. So that helps a lot too. I know typically I try to bulk in the winter seasons, but with modeling like more full time and frequently,
there's like less time for it, or
I don't feel the urge to do that. So I'm just maintaining. But like the yoga and all of that, I would say like I'm trying to get more flexible. Because I used to do tumbling and gymnastics when I was younger.
Oh, that's cool.
So I still have like a little bit of that muscle memory, but like obviously not to the full extent.
Are there any other like active things you did like that aren't like the lifting or yoga?
I did like acro yoga with my friend. I've gone a few times with her. So that's kind of like where you're using someone else's body and they're like kind of like pushing you in the air. And
that's cool.
I don't know.
I can't see myself doing it.
No, it's so fun. There's even like a therapeutic side to it. So you can do like different like. Oh my gosh, I'm like spazzing out here. So the other person can like stretch your body in certain ways and like massage you, and then with the blood flow going in a different direction, like you just feel that release. Especially like there was like one where like this guy flipped me upside down and then was like pulling my neck in a certain direction and like was like rubbing it at the same time. It was like this really like therapeutic massage, and it was like a way to like loosen the tension there.
Yeah.
But I was like upside down, so also the blood flow was like completely different, and that was like a fun experience. I like stood back up and I was like, woo! I was like, I feel high, but like my body feels really great right now.
So is it? I don't know why the acro yoga throws me off. Is it like the ability for them to help you get in positions you couldn't normally get into, or?
Yeah, and then so like there's the base, the person that's like laying down, and then there's the flyer.
Yeah.
And so like you're doing kind of like yoga-esque positions there, but like they can like twist you in different ways. So like you're kind of flying in a sense, like especially if you have like enough experience, then like if your base is a pro, then they can kind of like flip you around in a new direction as long as you allow them to, and you can like kind of relax your body.
It's almost like it's like dancing in a way.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Like my friend is a pro. I'm definitely not. Like
I've watched it. I don't like. I like watching it, but I was like, I don't get it.
I'm like, I don't know.
It's more like appreciation from the side, where it's like,
yeah. I mean, I would try it if you ever get the opportunity. It's really fun.
I need to get back into yoga first.
maybe like slide into yoga and then go to that.
Because right now it's been climbing for me, and I only got into that because like, during COVID. My dance studio closed. Like I used to do ballroom and salsa, and I was like, what reason it's not just like lifting and running? And so I was looking around, and I luckily found a gym that was like 2020 ready. So they had everything you needed, so you have to stay open. And so I'm just like messing around, learning how to climb for the first time when no one's around because
nobody can like make fun of you. Or, like, you know, judged.
Yeah, I don't feel any worry about like failure or anything like that.
But climbing is a real workout. Like you wouldn't think. Well, I mean, you wouldn't really think so, but like
it is, but it doesn't feel like it.
Right?
Yeah,
like,
you feel it afterwards, but yeah.
Yeah, like I went on a climbing date one time, and I was like, "Oh, this is like the best idea ever." And then the next day, I was like, "Oh, I can't lift my arms." I was like, "Why did I do this?"
For you with modeling, what would you? What's something you've tried already that you're like, "Oh, this is amazing," or "I'm proud of this," like moments.
Let's see. I would say my White Sands trip and photo shoot. That was really fun. And it was just fun in the sense of like being able to explore while also shooting. So I was like really proud of that. I think the photos turned out really well. We got some like really cool concepts too. And then the two people that I went with, like they're really cool and solid. So that was fun. I would say shoot locations. Like there's been a lot of places that I'm like, wow, I really got to shoot there. Like, oh, I really went there.
What are your favorite ones you shot at, like location wise?
One of them I don't know if I can actually mention. I won't mention the specific spot because I wasn't supposed to shoot there, but They had this like really cool, so it was like a wedding venue. So they had this like really cool like square backdrop, and then obviously like a couple stands there. And so they kind of had this like, I don't know, like walkway set up. So me and the photographer shot at the very end. And I don't know, it was just like really pretty. There was like a field in the background and then the clear blue sky. And I was just like, oh, this is beautiful. I got to shoot in Mexico. Like I love the beach, so I finally got to do like a beach shoot. Oh, and California. So I shot in Malibu, and that's like my favorite beach shoot ever. And that was really pretty, but cold as fuck.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, like the water there is freezing, and also like when the sun started going down, I mean, it was like in the 60s, and so I'm like kind of wet, and like I'm laying in the sand and like rolling around, cold. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay, let me make myself look warm here, but it's not good. So that was a fun experience. Let's see, what else have I shot? I'm trying to think. Now I feel like I'm on the spot.
That's cool. For you, what do you think people assume about modeling, like misconceptions that people have about it?
That you're stuck up, full of yourself. That you are confident all the time.
Yeah.
That you have no personality. That I feel like a lot of people equate it to like that modeling is the only interesting thing. Yeah. Like I've gone to like networking events where there's so many different people there from so many different backgrounds and career paths and like all of that. And as soon as it's like, I'm introduced as a model, it's like, it falls off and like that's all I am. I think that's like kind of a struggle because it's like, no, there's so much more. And like, all of the models that I've met, like they're so interesting in their own ways. And there's so many other things that they're doing as well.
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of models I've met, or not only like the personality thing you mentioned, where it's like they're unique in some way. It's either like bold or it's like surprisingly shy, like I wouldn't expect, or just working in different crafts. Like I've met a lot of models who are musicians, like painters, things like that. Where it's like, you're very well-rounded in a good way, where they just like have so many things they're trying that they got their hands in many pots.
And it's like, multifaceted, and I think that's a misunderstanding. It's like, oh, you just stand there and you get paid to look pretty.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, maybe, but that's, one aspect of me. I would say also that it's easy. A lot of people are just like, oh, it's so easy. Like, modeling is such a hard job. And it's like, like when you get into it, there's a lot more than just standing there and looking pretty. So.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. And I actually had that misconception about modeling and photography when I first started.
Okay.
So, because like I didn't understand how much went into it, and I was like, I need to get better, but there's so many things like I have to learn. And same with photography, where like how much work they put in with editing wise, even just doing the shots, having their stuff ready, getting the right angle. I'm like, wow, like
it's a lot.
There's so much understanding that it's like any topic where if you only have like the outside perspective, there's some things you assume are harder, but almost everything has like the smaller details where you realize, wow, there's so much more to it than you know.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like I've had some people like point out to me, like some of my friends are like, I use your Instagram for like posing tips or like posing ideas.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh God.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, like my heart. I appreciate that so much. But it's like you don't think about that either. Like I was trying to explain, one of my friends was like, I want to start modeling. Like, how do I pose? And I'm like, oh, well, that's something I don't really think about, right? Because it's just something that I've been doing. But there's like a flow. There's like a dance. Like if you were to take 10 different models and watch them all shooting or posing, whatever, they're gonna be different. There's a different flow to things. Even and that's not only like women, but just like all genders.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a difference and a variety there.
I think mine, since it takes me a lot of warm up, because I'm like usually more shy. So it's like when I'm with a photographer, if I know them well, then I feel like I have that freedom to just experiment and do. Because I prefer like weirder poses.
Yeah.
That's what I really want to do. But then it depends on that photographer. If I'm comfortable with him, I can experiment and I can know that okay, like I know he understands what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so we'll try this, we'll try that. It's fun play.
Yeah.
To me. Yeah.
I think it's like comfortability is such a big thing.
So important.
Like there's sometimes if I haven't worked with the photographer that much, I'm like, hey, I want to do this really weird pose. If it looks dumb, please tell me. Like you can tell me like, girl, stop. What are you doing? But I want to like see. I want to see if we can like accomplish it or not. Yeah. And then just like have at it. But one of my photographers like complimented me the other day and was just like, I love how, I forgot how he phrased it, but he was just like, I love how open you are. You know, like there's like sometimes they'll throw ideas at me like during the shoot.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know if we can do this, and I'm like,
let's try it.
Fuck it, really ball. Like we're gonna try this, you know. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But for me, like, I've tried to turn my perfectionism into like a positive. So if I don't get it, instead of like internalizing it or being like, oh, like because I'm not a dancer and I'm not that flexible, or like, well, you know, like getting mad. Instead, I'm like, okay, how could I like make this work for me, even though I don't have that background, or like I might not be as flexible. Like, how could I like tailor this to where I could get it next time? So
you're basically like, using your creativity as a superpower. Right?
Yeah.
Let me try it this way. Let me experiment more.
Yeah. Or like be in the mirror, like, all right, like I twisted this way. Let me try the other way. But
okay, as a model, what other things or what more is there to you? Basically, like when people assume like I'm just a model, like what are the other things?
Yeah,
like just 2 or 3. Like I don't know.
Okay. Like, do you want me to put a list out here? No. So I really like to write. So ever since I was little, I love poetry, short stories.
Ooh, okay.
One of my goals is actually to publish a book at some point.
Hey,
yeah, I think that's so interesting. I don't know what
type of book would you? Oh, okay.
Like I'm kind of leaning towards poetry. So like my notes app, I told you it's chaotic. It's like crackhead energy in there. Well, there's also like crazy writings in there too, where like I'll hear a song and I'm like, this sounds cool, you know, or whatever. I did a little bit of song work. There's one song that I'm working on that I actually do kind of want to release because at first it was just a fun thing. So my photographer friend Raphael, like he's been helping me out a lot, and I just kind of like spitballed this like idea at him and sent him the lyrics, and so he's been like helping me with the music and all that. So we'll see what happens with that, but that's like a fun venture. I did like video games for a long time. I kind of gave up my PC and all of that, so I don't play anymore. But I still have my Nintendo DS, so I do kind of dabble in that a little bit. Let's see, photography. I actually have dabbled in that since high school.
Oh wow!
Even before then. My dad bought me my first camera when I was in like middle school, and it was just like a point and shoot. I had no idea what I was doing. But I loved landscapes, nature.
Do you have like a photography page, or like it's for yourself basically? You keep it.
I did, but then I turned it into a personal page because I wasn't really posting any of my photography. I wasn't having any time to edit because I was like shooting so much. But now, like sometimes I'll edit my own photos too, so that like gives me time to still play around with like presets and all that, and like color grading, which that was like a fun thing for me to venture into.
So I published one book, but it was just like a fashion book. It was like a how-to, basically, like Ben's guide for fashion.
I like that.
And I really want to do like a sci-fi, like fantasy series.
Ooh, do you have an idea? Wait, can you share that?
I can. The basics to it.
Okay.
It'd basically be there's just certain animals that have like a really interesting like attribute to them. So think. How do I describe this without saying too much? Basically, like
I know, I put you on the spot.
Like Animorphs combined with like Star Wars, without the animal, without changing. Basically, you have like the ability of that animal.
Oh, that'd be cool. But you're not like transforming.
You're not transforming, but you have like the ability of whatever they could do.
Oh, that's cool.
But sci-fi exploration type deal.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So I really want to try that one because
I'll ask you more because I don't want you to get too much away. That sounds interesting though.
What will be for me? Probably either archery or dance.
Oh.
Yeah.
Archery. Is that hard to get into? Have you like looked into it at all?
Oh no, like it's something that I put like on other sides to me. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's not that hard to get into.
I feel like it's hard to like pull the
It feels like another form of meditation.
Okay.
Yeah. Just like a calm. Like the first few times, it's similar to climbing, where it doesn't feel that bad when you're doing it, but then later on, your back is like, holy shit! Like, what are you having me doing?
Yeah, your body's like, I'm not used to doing this.
Yeah, I wake up the next day, my back is sore if I haven't shot in a while. But.
Okay. Interesting. When you said dance, how long did it take you to get salsa down? I feel like that's a harder.
Salsa, I never got down. Ballroom, I was pretty comfortable after a year and a half.
Are there any events you could go to where you can like actually dress up and like do the ball?
Oh, yes. There's a lot of salsa events. I can't remember about ballrooms. It's been a while, but for both, there's definitely a lot of like social events within like studios,
Okay.
but then also outside of them too. It seems like they have one every month or every other month, and then some seasonal stuff.
Be fun.
Oh yeah.
Was it hard to learn ballroom?
No, because funny enough,
Oh no.
I got into it because of an anime.
Wait, what anime?
Welcome to the Ballroom.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. It was like this really like quiet kid. He met like this badass like salsa dancer, and he got a bike. It's like he looked like he was like a biker gang guy, and then blonde hair, but he showed him like the Latin like forms of ballroom. And he's like, okay, let me get into this, and he got into American, which would be like waltz, like tango, waltz, foxtrot, things like that. And so he got into it heavy. That looks fun. Let me try that. And then I went to a studio here in Dallas, like off Greenville, and I just got hooked.
I love that. It's so
wow,
funny.
this is really fun.
When anime teaches you new things, you're like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because what they have, like, so you think you can dance, but I watched it, I was like, okay.
Okay. But then you see it in anime and you're like, whoa, this is so beautiful.
This is beautiful. Let me try this.
Okay, but like everything in anime looks better. Like even the food.
Yeah,
I'm like, can I just like walk into an anime and like eat their food, please?
I'm trying to think of what else. There was a manga I read that made me want to get back into acting.
Okay.
Like I used to do. It's so sad. It was really good, but the author was a creep. And so it got canceled. Basically, like each arc was her understanding like how to act and her understanding herself. And so like having it was a good blend of like vulnerability, but also showing like the art itself, like what their thought process is. And so I was really excited that it was gonna be, an anime, but it was one of those ones where these weirdos, I gotta ruin it for me.
Right? You get so excited.
Yes.
Oh.
But other than that, I can't think of anything else that like got me into something. But I did want to try boxing for a while because of Hajime no Ippo.
Oh.
Because I saw that, I was like, okay, I think I can do that.
Yeah,
and then I tried it. I tried Muay Thai, but I made the mistake of going. It's one of the best gyms in DFW, but it was like 30 minutes away from me.
Oh my gosh.
And so I did it for 6 months, but then every time I drove home, I had to drive through traffic. I was like, why did I pick this gym?
Right.
There's so many gyms closer to me.
And then you're like dying because you were just like fighting for like the last hour.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, breathing hard while I'm driving 40 minutes in traffic.
That's funny. Like when I used to take pre-workout, I would take it ahead of time so it would like hit.
Yeah.
And then getting stuck in traffic was always like my worst nightmare. And I would just be like freaking buzzing, gripping onto the steering wheel, trying to like keep my cool. I'd get to the gym and I'd be like, everybody out of my way.
Do you care if we talk about OnlyFans?
No.
Okay. I asked you before, I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
So I forgot, what do you do on yours?
So on my OnlyFans specifically, I usually do photography sets. So like nude sets. Yeah, strictly. I don't sell any of the other ones because. Yeah.
Because I have a friend, she does like a Patreon. So my main question was going to be like, one, how do you market it, but also illustrate that, hey, this is tasteful art. And two, how do you, I guess, push yourself to, I guess, the assumption people would make, basically?
Yeah. I ventured like a little bit further into OnlyFans than just the photography sets. But I would say when I was doing strictly photography sets, like I kind of kept it low key. Yeah. So like if you go in my bio, like you can see the links there. But like if you were to go through my feed, so my page is free, but it's like pay-per-view. So you're buying like each set that I'm posting. So they would have to buy the set to see it, but they could see that it was set. So I would have like a preview of like what the set consisted of, or like if there was like a photo where I was nude, I would censor it so that they knew like, yes, this is a nude set, but obviously like not.
But you'd have to pay to see.
Exactly. And I think that would be the best way, but also like you could include like a welcome message. So like if somebody subscribes to your profile, they'll get that welcome message and
Mhm.
just add the disclaimer, you know, like, hey, this is just like artistic nudes, no request, no customs, you know, what you see is what you get kind of thing, and like leave it up to that. And then if she's gonna, you know, promo it somewhere, I would also kind of maybe disclaimer on that too, and include it in her bio, like on her OnlyFans profile. But I think that a lot of people have ventured into it even without doing porn. I mean, there's some girls that I know that sell bikini photos on there.
Oh yeah.
So I mean.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways.
Yeah, I mean, there's a stigma, of course, but just disclaimer. You know, and put it wherever you can because people don't like to read. And then just reiterate that. I mean, stick to your boundaries when it comes to that stuff. And always just check in with yourself. Like, is this something that I'm comfortable with? Is this something that I want to do? And I always tell, like, all of my model friends and, like, anyone that comes to me, like, don't let the money go to your head. Yeah. You know, like, at the end of the day, like, you have to live with what you did. So, like, if you're uncomfortable with it, it doesn't matter how much you're getting paid. Like, you're still going to have to, like, know that you did that. So.
How do you find that line to where you actually know you're doing it? Because I found that with, like, even just, like, basic things where you may look back on it and you can almost, like, trick yourself into thinking, oh, that's not what I really wanted to do, but that's because you regret it now. So how do you know as close? Wow. Oh, where's this? Okay. Basically, how are you confident that you know that you want to do it? In that moment, because there's a lot of things I've done where I'm like, oh, like I'm so free spirited, and then I look back and like I didn't really want to do that, but at the time you do.
I would say it's like a recalibration system at that point. So like if I, you know, agree, I'm gonna keep it like as basic as possible. If I agree to like shoot in water, I shoot in water, I get the photos back, or I go around the drive home, I'm like, oh my god, I regret my whole life, right? Then I can look back and be like, okay, well, let me analyze like what feelings am I having? When did this feeling occur? What happened during the shoot that made me feel that way? Was it the water? Was it the photographer? Would I do this with a different photographer? Would I do this in a different body of water? And then you ask yourself like these kind of questions, and you just kind of like recalibrate yourself with that. So then you can add it to a list of things, or like a list. So
say like it was like an hour shoot. It's like in like 45 minutes in, like I probably should have like asserted my boundary and said, hey, like it's cold, I don't want to be in here anymore, or something like that. Basically.
And then you ask yourself those questions, like, am I people pleasing? Did I, you know, if you set a boundary and then you leave the shoot and you're like, oh, you know what, I completely like betrayed myself on that, and you just you stay gentle with yourself, but you remember what your list is and what your boundaries are, and just try to keep that consistency. But there are going to be situations where, like you said, you go to something and you think you're fine, and you leave and you're like, oh wow. Like whether that's like photos that are taken, videos that are taken, you know, et cetera, like if you're able to fix it, you should. But if it's all said and done, just take that as a lesson, and then, you know, have better standards for yourself going into the next situation.
So let's say, okay, next time I'll be more aware, I'll be more cautious. This is where my lines are.
Like, oh, once I start shivering, that's when I know, like, confidence, or, you know, things like that.
Okay. And I want to go back into marketing, because I'm horrible at marketing.
I feel like that's like the main consensus. I'm not a pro, but I can try to answer some questions.
Okay. So for you, what do you think? Just like someone, we'll go in stages. Someone who's like a beginner, someone who's like pretty good at modeling and beyond. Like, what do you think the best thing they could do to market themselves would be?
Post as much as you can, quality content. Preferably. But if you are starting out, people are going to be able to tell from your profile.
So okay, they're just starting out. So
and they're like, oh, okay, like there's some. Okay, I'll give you a personal example from me. When I started out, I was posting like all sorts of photos like everywhere. I was like, these are the greatest things ever. And future photographers that I worked with were like, your photos were crap quality wise, but you were beautiful, and you could tell that you knew how to pose and like all of that. So like, we want to work with you. So there's that to consider as well. Which like no dig on like any photographer, you know.
How do you decide for yourself what's quality?
I guess I have a set amount of standards for myself, like the specific editing, things like that. But I'm also pretty lenient on certain things. So like sometimes I like the less edited look, sometimes I like the more edited look, like editorial style vibes. But I honestly, like, the big thing is like posing, angles, and all of that. Like if I see that like a photographer has an eye for photography and it fits with what, because I do photography too, right? So like it fits like what I would want to shoot or what I would shoot, because I've done self-portraits of myself too. And so like I know like certain angles and like to me what's gonna look good and what's not. So I just try to like match that together, but I also take that and then I also compare to societal standards. So like when I go on my Explorer page, right? What's trending, what poses are in, what lighting is in, what seems to be the main consensus. There we go. Yeah. And then compare like all of my perspectives with that as well, so that I can make sure that I'm staying with the time, because photography ages, right?
Yeah. So like, these are my tastes, these are my standards. Are my standards like close to like the general consensus? And sometimes, you know, if you're confident in what you're doing, you know it's pretty close to that, you can have the courage to branch out slightly or however you want to.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. And then I think also like you know, that's where like the collaboration versus, you know, paid work comes into, and that's something that's a whole different level to consider. Yeah. So.
I'm trying to think of more marketing questions.
No, you're good.
But I'll come back to them. They're in my brain somewhere.
They'll come back. They'll resurface.
For you, what do you think is the few things that really helped you elevate yourself as a model, like that made you more skilled?
Having a network. Network as much as you can, and that's why like in the beginning, like do as much collaboration, get your face out there. I went to group shoots all the time, like free meetups and stuff like that. In Dallas so far, like I've been trying to go to all of the chaotic good events when I can, and I've met like some really solid connections through there too. And if you are traveling, I mean, even if it's just for funsies, like you're taking a vacation, you should try to like network if you can. Or even, you know, depending on the photographer, like try to collab and get your face there as well. So like I took like a vacation to Hawaii, it was like 3 years ago now, and I was like doing modeling for funsies, but I found like a couple of photographers out there to shoot with. You know, and so that was so cool, and it got my face out there, and then also like knowing them got me like other connections. Not that I dove in because I wasn't like professional at that point. It was
still networking experience.
Yeah, like I wasn't like modeling full time, so like I didn't dive into that because I was like, oh, that's cool, like that I have connections in Hawaii, but like I'm not a traveling model at that point, and like so it was a different perspective. But you never know like who can connect you with other people. And so I don't ever discount a connection that I have or like a networking moment.
Is there anything else like modeling wise, or is that'd be like the main one?
I would say honestly that's the main one. Yeah.
And then for marketing, if you had to pick like one or two, I can't remember if I asked this earlier with like apps, but if you had to pick one or two for like focusing on your marketing, where would you pick?
Maybe Facebook groups, Instagram, even though it's kind of a pain in the butt. But if you post the right content, then it goes far. I would say Twitter. The thing with Twitter though is that like I'm sharing a more personal side. So like I tweet about like the most random random things. And that's fun because it's like it's my personality, but with Twitter it's like the game is like post as much as you can. So I'm like, what nonsense is in my brain that I could potentially like throw out there?
That's my problem. Like I'll be on there and then I'll be off for like a week. So I was posting like crazy and then all of a sudden this is okay.
And you just have to stay consistent. I would say like I have drafts saved on there, not only of photos, but just like random little spurts that come in my brain. Like I have one, I have one saved, and it was like workout tip. Add 5 reps every time you think about your toxic ex. And so it's just like dumb things like that, right? And so like things like that, you know, where it's just like dumb little tidbits, but it's like if you constantly like feed your feed, then you pop up for more people, and then connection on there is a big thing too. So like who's retweeting, who's responding, and like all of that.
Do you think you add like a lot of your personality to your modeling, or do you keep it more, I don't know?
That's a good question. I think recently I tried to, just because I think there was a misconception about me from my page. Like I feel like a lot of people see that and then they're like, oh, you're super confident, and they expect me to be like bold and outgoing and loud. And I feel like I'm like the complete opposite kind of. Like I'm introverted and I'm very fucking awkward and I'm clumsy. Like I trip on sets and I like laugh at myself and I'm dancing and just doing dumb things and like, you know, trying to have fun with whoever I'm working with. At least that's the kind of vibe that I want to have. That I would like that to show more. But I think that my photographer friends that I've worked with repeatedly, they usually try to like let that shine for me because they know like one, they're like they want to roast me a little bit.
I wonder if like since you're also comfortable with them, I wonder if it still would come off as confident too because you feel comfortable with them.
Maybe. Yeah. Like my photographer friend Mitch, we did this bathtub shoot. And it was supposed to be like classy, like I was like sipping wine and like I had little rubber duckies and like, you know, bubble bath, but it was supposed to be like, you know, bougie bubble bath.
Yeah.
So I'm drinking this wine and I end up like almost spitting it out. I can't remember if I was like laughing at something he said or just being dumb. And so he has like a photo of me just like mid, like, you know, and so, you know, things like that where it's like candid, but like he knows that I'm dumb during shoots. So it's like easy to like catch those. Yeah,
I think most of my shoots were it's like any chance I get, I was making like goofy faces or I'm making bad jokes, and the photographers either laughing their ass off or just like rolling their eyes like Dezmond, like I need you to focus.
I like that though. It makes it fun.
I think I'm gonna end with this. Yeah. We're bringing it back to networking again.
Yeah.
What are you looking for? Like when you basically, how do you filter through when you're networking?
I think a lot of the times it's about growth, but then it's also like I would say I like to help people.
Yeah.
So like I always want to bring value and I always want to be useful to whoever I'm meeting and whoever's in my life. So I kind of look for those two things. Like, can I help them grow? Can they help me grow? And are we on the same path as each other? Okay. So like, yes, I could collaborate or like network with a painter. And I've done that a little bit before where they'll do pieces on me or like inspired by my photography or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like we're two different things. So like that's a good relationship to have. I'm not like discounting that, but I'm not fully, you know. Yeah, I'm not fully in and they're not really fully in either. Whereas someone like a clothing designer, like I could model for them. You know, that's a little bit more close knit.
Yeah.
Another photographer, and even another model. You know, and we could talk about like, you know, secrets of the trade. Like, hey, work with this photographer. Oh, hey, have you traveled to this location? You wouldn't believe the marketing or like the network that's out there. You know, so those are a little bit more close knit. So those would take more priority, I would say. But I always appreciate all the other ones because like a painter could know a photographer, you know, and could know another model and could know, you know, so and so. That could get you places that you never thought you would go.
Yeah, I've struggled with that is like knowing, I guess, not who's worth it, but knowing who would fit in with your goals, like who aligns with that. Yeah. So that's why I was curious about that. It's like, how do you filter through while also being respectful of other people and their time and things like that?
Exactly. No, I would definitely, I mean, I think connections are important. I don't believe in coincidences, so I think that you meet people for a reason.
Yeah.
And I would never discount someone's acquaintance, I guess is the best way to put it. But just know that there's going to be some that maybe
just don't line up.
Yeah. And so you can just appreciate their art or their perspectives.
Like, hey, you're talented, but this isn't what I'm working on right now. This isn't my goal right now.
Like I'm not really in that, you know, but I can like support you, right? You can support in other ways, but like that just wouldn't be priority.
Sweet. Yeah, I think we'll end with that. I'm going to just tell people next shows and I'll just ask you to shout out your socials.
Okay.
All right. So first off, I have two shows tomorrow. We have another photographer. I love her work. It's very like euphoric, visionary. Like I love everything she does. Like her imagination is banging. Like I don't know how she comes up with these concepts, but they're killing it. The next one after that is like two of my friends. They kind of like do dating stuff. And then was it Tuesday? I have a show where we're working with a photographer. She was like my modeling agent, so she does photography and coaching for models. But she promotes that for you, showing you how to get started. And she shoots for the Cowboys now. She shot for like Post Malone and other concerts and stuff like that. All right, so look out for those. And shout out your socials.
I'll mainly list my Instagram, so that's Victoria.mlynn.
All right, thank you, and take care, and live a life led without regret.